Hello, hello, hello. I'm Erica Lynn, better known as Erica Lynn Speaks.
If I can think about it for a second, learn to live life for the better. I had hard times, got a life coach for depression, got a life coach for depression. Now it's all mine, living days full of hard times. Ekalin, work on your mind, let's get on your grind. Working on the feelings inside, Ekalin got me on the rise.
Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin speaks, yeah, yeah. Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin speaks, yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah, alright. Looking up when I fell on hard times they changed my mind. Got my head up, looking to the sky. Miss Lynn, she changed my life. Looking up when I fell on hard times. With her, you need these times. Got my head up, looking to the sky.
Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin speaks, yeah, yeah. Ekalin speaks, to the Ekalin.
Hello, hello, hello. This is your girl, Erica Lynn, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of Erica Lynn Speaks podcast. Y'all know how we do it over here. We like to play big or go home. Who are we playing big for, honey? We are playing big for ourselves because if you don't play big for you, who else is going to play big for you, right? Well, before we get started with tonight's podcast, make sure you share this podcast with everybody you know. And when you share them, make sure you hashtag Erica Lynn Fam so they know that you're part of Erica Lynn's fam. You know this community over here. We like to have a good time, okay? Tonight, we're going to be talking about re-strategizing for the last time going into the third quarter. Y'all know we touched your mind, your body, your soul, right? But tonight we're going to touch them pockets. You know, that wallet, all of those deep pockets, because I want to see everybody having deep pockets. Change just falling out your pocket on the floor. Your bank account just overloaded, okay? You like, oh, I got so much money, I don't know what to do with it. Well, let me tell you, my guest tonight, he's going to teach you how to re-strategize. But before I bring him on, I wanted to make sure that I shout out the birthday girl, Deja. Today is Deja's birthday, y'all. Can y'all believe I got a 24-year-old daughter? I know I look young and fabulous. I get it. I know. But I had to share this beauty with somebody, and I shared it with my mini me, Deja. So happy birthday, Deja. I'll see you as soon as the podcast over. I am on my way with my gifts, okay? Oh, Deja's on the pod. She's like, thank you, mommy. Hey, Deja. Hi, Kim. And those of you all who don't know, Kim put the hashtag up in the chat box and it's on the screen. When you share, put hashtag Erica Lynn Fam. We do pull those hashtags, and any questions that you guys have during or after the podcast, Kim, he goes and search for it so that when we are having the next podcast, we're able to address your questions. So anyway, what I was saying is my next guest, he is fire, and more fire, right? Because anybody that can help you get your mind, money, your pocketbook, for those of you all who don't know what a checkbook is, teach you how to balance your checkbook, he all right with me. Well, anyway, Dexter Jenkins is a faith-based financial mentor with more than 2 decades in the financial service industry. He is passionate about helping families build generational wealth with easy to implement steps. He said generational wealth. That means you get money, your kids get money, your grandkids get money, and it keep rolling. Who don't want generational wealth? Jenkins inspires and instructs hundreds of people with his podcast, programs, and online courses and books. A popular speaker on the topic of wealth building God's way. That's right. He's doing it the right way. And his authority on faith and finance. As senior pastor of Fellowship Christian Church in Boston and managing partner of Dominion Real Estate Holding LLC, he sensed early in life that the teaching financial literacy was his calling. Oh, he got a good calling. See, through that is what he coins the SHIP method. We're going to ask him about the SHIP method. Jenkins shows people how to get out of debt through stewardship, create legacy through entrepreneurship, and learn strategies on real estate ownership. There's no question that his integrity, wisdom, and wealth building philosophy is a voice that is needed today, every day, all day. When you wake up, when you go to bed, I don't know, you just need to know how much money is in your bank account at all times, what's going in and what's coming out. There should never be a moment that you say, I don't know. That's I don't know. When you in front of the judge filing bankruptcy, I don't know what I did, Judge. Well, we don't want that to happen. We're gonna get you together. So without further ado, you guys, I'm gonna bring my guest on the show so that he can get y'all together. Hi, Dexter.
Girl, you all funny. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm so glad you're here today because listen, everybody had financial troubles at one point or another.
Correct.
And sometimes I try to guide them over the knowledge, but I am not the expert in this field, and you are. So I wanted to bring the expert on here today. So thank you for coming on and sharing your expertise with my audience.
Again, thank you for having me. This is, I think, my third time being with you.
Yes, but 2 times on the podcast, and then you were in my program the other time.
Yeah. So I'm no stranger to the Erica Lynn fam. So hey, y'all, I'm glad cousin Dexter's back in the building.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So Dexter, before I go into the questions, I just kind of want you to, I know I read it from your bio, but I want you to kind of give the audience a little bit about your background, those who have not had an opportunity to hear your story.
Yeah, well, like you said, my bio tells a lot about my journey, so to speak. That I'm a young man who has grown up around entrepreneurship, around business, and all that. And so that took me in my early 20s. I spent 20 years in the financial services industry, teaching people about life insurance, how to get out of debt, so on and so forth. And then, God called me to pastor a church. So, my wife and I have been doing that for the last 10 years. And then in the middle of all of that, I'm also a real estate entrepreneur because I believe earning real estate is probably the best path, or I'm saying the best path, one of the best paths to building wealth. And so you put all that together and that gets me. And then, I've always had a passion, Erica, to teach, so when I learn something, I like to share with other folks. And so when you look at, what I've done, where I've come from, and then my anointing or my calling or my gifting to teach, so that's why, we started that, and made all things, whether it's a church or whether it's a real estate thing, over the last 2 years, we've been doing our financial literacy pieces, through DBJ Enterprises, which we're starting to launch some more of those things, so we'll be doing more of that over the next 6 months to a year, but really want to get our people financially literate is one of my main passions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And that's a good passion because I was a person that was not financial literate.
Right.
My children, they weren't financial literate. Right. And then I come across so many people who are not financial literate. And can you give me some examples of what a person will be going through that they don't even know that they're not financial literate to show that they are financial illiterate in a sense?
Well, think about just that term, illiterate. Most time we put it over to when somebody can't read. Mm-hmm. So take it over to a financial status. If a person is financially literate, they can't read basic things having to do with finances. Mm-hmm. Now you think about this, everything that we do on a daily basis touches finances in some fashion. There's not one day that you don't interact with money. So I don't care whether it's turning on your lights, turning on your water, paying your mortgage, paying your rent, going out to dinner, all of those are financial transactions. And so what you want to do is you want to begin to give people just some basic things that they can learn to take them from being financially illiterate to being financially literate. Because now, Erica, the next step is once I go from being financially literate, now I have financial intelligence, right? Because the financial intelligence, an intelligent person makes decisions and choices. Mm-hmm. Got it? So now I'm intelligent. Now I can make wise choices and wise decisions with my money. And if I make wise decisions and wise choices with my money over a long enough period of time, I become wealthy. Mm-hmm. And so that's been my thing is financial literacy, financial intelligence, wealth. But a lot of people try to run to, I want to be wealthy. I'm like, well, no, you got to back up, man. Put the car in park and back up. You got to come and begin to learn some basic things about finance, get literate. Then once you become financially literate, you'll make financial intelligent choices. And then by default, you'll end up doing well financially.
Okay. So would you say that a person that's living check to check, or I know people that, you know how your bank account allows you to give an advance, like you can pull like $500 out, but you only got to pay $35 fee. Right. So when you get your check, that $535 is paid back.
Yeah.
would you say that those people are financial illiterate?
It could be, but not always. You know, what I've come to learn in Erica, in 30 years of studying business and money, everybody's situation is different.
Okay.
You know, so sometimes people are financially illiterate. Sometimes they've hit a rough patch where maybe they've gone through a divorce or loss of a job or COVID is hit. So I can't say just overarching everything, but I will say part of financial literacy is recognizing that tough times are going to happen and you need to put something away every time you get paid just in case something happens.
Okay. That makes sense. Because I never had a bank account that allowed me in advance. Like my bank will pay me out like a day or 2 days early.
Exactly.
But I've never had a bank that let me go withdraw 500 and then on payday take back. I've never had that. But what I did get caught up in was that cash advance mess. That's a mess.
What
Think
about this? The banking institutions or the financial institutions, they prey on people who are illiterate.
Right, but not cash advance from the bank. You know, everybody know that cash advance you drive up to the little the places that you go and you got to bring your bank statement and your last 2 check stubs and they'll give you cash right then and there.
Well, think about this. Where are those places are? Are they in nice neighborhoods?
Yeah, they're all over.
There are neighborhoods that, you know, they know that they can take advantage of people, so on and so forth. And so a lot of times, you know, when I look at those type of businesses, I look at where they are. I mean, I'm in Boston, so there's certain neighborhoods that a business like that, they won't even allow to come in. But if it's dealing with people who are financially literate in some cases, maybe they're sometimes people of color, sometimes there's financial ignorance, they prey on that. And so to your point, because if you look at the fine print on those type of programs, it's not designed for you to get ahead. It's designed for them to make money off of you being in a desperate situation. Yes. And so part of what you always want a financial literate person, always to the best of their ability, wants to stay out of those type of places because they recognize it's not a fair exchange.
Yes. Yeah. And so I'm gonna just make one more point on that, then we'll go to the next subject. But when you are in that cash advance rat race is what I call it.
It's a hustle.
It's a rat race.
It's a straight up hustle. That's what it is.
So when you get your paycheck and you pay them their money back and you pay them that additional $50 or whatever that they charge, they allow you to borrow the money back.
Of course.
So I tried to borrow less the next time,
right?
And each time borrow less until it's paid off. That didn't work. So then I said, then I'm stuck in this rat race. I was stuck in this rat race until income tax time came.
Right.
So then when income tax time came, I would pay it off.
Exactly.
And then somewhere along the year, I would need to borrow it back again. So I'm back in the rat race again. But what is one way that a person can avoid getting caught up in this cash advance rat race? Do you have any advice or some tips on that?
Well, I think you said earlier, because money is, oh my God, I could just, if I start at the beginning of what I really want to say to people, a lot of times people get in a financial situation, not because it's a financial issue, but because it's a spiritual issue.
Okay.
It's a mental, emotional issue. And so a lot of times I've been talking to a lot of people about what's going on the inside of you that's causing you to spend the money the way you spend it.
Yes.
What things did you not learn? I mean, and this is your business because you really deal with the mental, emotional healing of people. Well, no other place. One of the biggest places show up is in people's money. Yes. And so when you begin to get a sense of, okay, why track your spending, where are you spending your money? Are you going to the club every Friday night? Are you making it rain for people? Are you buying gifts for folk that you don't need to, And so a lot of times people, and you said it in the opening, tracking what's coming in is going. Most people have no clue of what's coming in and what's going out, nor do they know why it's coming in, is coming out. And so what you got to do, you got to look at all those issues because they are symptoms of something deeper.
Yes. So uh then to answer my question, when I asked what would be a sign that a person is having financial problems
Right.
or financial literacy, one thing that I can say is that on Monday you'll go, I don't even know where my paycheck went.
I have no clue where my money went, and that's a problem
You don't
because
know
you
what
should know.
you don't know
You
what you
should
spent
know.
it
You should.
on. You don't know nothing.
Yeah, you know, because think about this: money needs to be directed.
Yes.
It needs to be told what to do. So if you don't tell money what to do, it's just all over the place. I mean, times have changed where most of us have direct deposit. But back in the day, we used to have to go get a physical check, go to the bank, stand in the line, cash the check. And then if you weren't careful, you looked up, you're like, hold on, I got paid. Just say, I got paid $300. Then you go to the end of the night, or like you said on Monday, you're like, I got 200, or I got 150. What happened to it? Well, the problem is you see, literate people know how to give their money instructions and directions.
Yeah.
So usually we talk about, if you're a faith person like myself, we talk about when money hits your hand, I tithe, and then I invest and I save. So I see, to be financially literate, there's certain patterns and habits you have to establish.
Okay.
Got it? And so one of those patterns and habits is, now if you believe, we believe, like some of us believe that we give to God first, and then we save. I don't care if it's $5, just getting that habit of saving, because one of the biggest mistakes I see people making is they say, well, I'll save when I begin to make a lot of money. Like, no. You got to establish that habit when you start making small money, so that when you begin to make big money, it's no big deal. And so if you know anything about people who are financially successful, they have patterns. They have ways of handling things. They've developed the right relationship with money. And so a lot of times, back to your original question, there's a lot that goes into money that all of us have to deal with. And then when we can deal with some of those either negative habits or positive, or some of the demons that are in our lives, now it allows us to handle money a lot more successfully.
That's powerful, because I was watching this interview with Snoop
Right.
and
Dogg.
Cat Williams. It was
Right.
like a little snippet,
Right.
and Snoop was saying that he knew Cat was all right when they met, and Cat showed him a $3 million check that he had
Right.
from last year that he didn't
Right.
cash. So a person, us on the outside looking in, we would be thinking that everybody's just spending all their money,
Right.
but Cat Williams has always been a good steward over
Right.
his money, and that's why when he went through going to jail or whatever tough time, he never suffered financially.
Got it.
Nobody ever heard Cat Williams suffer financial, because Cat Williams always was a good steward over his money.
Right. Well, and I think that's part of financial literacy is this is just a basic financial principle. Part of everything that I earn, I keep.
Okay.
And so people have to get, I don't care if it's $5, because I'm in the middle of preaching a sermon now in my church that we're calling the other 90%. So we talk about the first 10% we give to God, but what do I do to the other 90%? Because there are a lot of people who go to church, but they're broke tithers.
Yes.
And I'm like, listen, I don't want broke tithers in my church. I got to teach you not only what to do with the 10%, because the church is very good at saying, I give to us. Okay, all right, well, we giving to y'all, but the members are broke. And I'm like, I don't want that in my church. I want to teach you not only how to honor God with the 10%, but I want to teach you how to handle the other 90%, so that you really do. So the promises in the Bible really do end up in your life, as opposed to us just running around the church and saying, I'm blessed going in and blessed going out, but ain't nobody blessed.
Yes.
And so I've been teaching, hey, you got to put aside some of everything you get. And I'm like, teach your kids that too. So when grandma gives them some money for their birthday or whatever else, I want to know, how much did you save?
That's good, because she chimed in. She said, I need some good finance tips so I don't go.
Deja, put some of that money away, girl.
She say, put some of that money away. Put some of this birthday dollars that everybody give you today, because she put her cash app on Facebook if anybody wanted to cash out. So Deja, drop your cash app down in the link too, if y'all want to cash out my daughter for her birthday, right?
Exactly. Holla at your girl.
So I want to ask you, So this is going to take me into a series of questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're talking about re-strategizing,
Right.
because this will be the last podcast at the second quarter. Second quarter will
Right.
be over, and we'll be walking into the third quarter.
Right.
So if we could base where people are, like, for this year alone, where should they be financially leaving the second quarter, going into the third quarter?
Well, I think that's an individual thing. Like I said, that's why it's called personal finance, because everybody's it personally is in a different place. So what I will say, what we've been talking about this whole time, everybody heading into the third quarter should have been saving something, whether they get paid weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever it may have been. So they should definitely have been doing that. Other thing I would say a person should have been doing is they should have been keeping an eye on, because Erica, the only way, and this is for our audience too, and this is worth you even tuning in, whether you're watching it live or watching it later on, is the only way for you to improve your financial situation is two things: decrease your expenses or increase your income. Period. I don't care what nobody tells you, what book it says, what supernatural seminar, whatever else. If you can grab a hold on decreasing your expenses, increases your income, so whether it's your personal finance or whether it's your business, it will do well. And so I'm talking to people about, hey, look, are there places in your budget or your spending plan that you can cut, that you can see? Because see, the third quarter, I don't know about you, but I'm a sports fan. Are you a sports fan at all?
No.
Okay. Well, you know sports at least.
Well, I know sports. Right.
Yeah, you at least know there are 4 quarters in a game most of the time, right?
Yes, that's right.
Right. So the first quarter, first 2 quarters, and then there's this thing called halftime, right? And then after halftime, the coaches they re-strategize, and they say, okay, based off what's going on the first 2 quarters, and the third quarter, this is what we're gonna do, right? And then the fourth quarter is what we're trying to do is win the game and get ready for our next game. So in this quarter, everybody who's watching us should have looked at where their money is going. Where can they decrease? Is there a way somewhere from a decrease in perspective, but then also from an increase in perspective? Because I think most people don't put enough
money away.
No, not that. No, they don't put enough emphasis on increasing their income.
Yeah. Right.
So most of the time with financial literacy, we were talking about save, decrease. And I'm saying, listen, you got to be thinking about, where can I earn more income? Because I believe the biggest problem most people have, not all of them, but one of the biggest problems people have is they don't make enough money. Because listen, there's only so much you can cut back.
Yes. Yeah.
At some point, you got to make some more money. And so what I've been talking to people about is being very aggressive about, what's your plan? Now, this is for your people. What is their plan to increase their income between here and the end of the year?
Okay. So 2 things that I want to touch on. One is we're talking about your budget, knowing what's coming in and what's going out.
Exactly.
So because I did a financial literacy training with my son, so what happened is our financial person made me teach my son financial literacy.
Really? Okay. Or did she? He.
Okay,
did he? Okay.
So I was not very good at financial literacy. I'm just being honest with you, right?
Most people are not.
So through teaching my son is how I learned.
Exactly.
He sat in on our Zoom trainings, and he interjected. He's like, "Do you mind if I say something?" Because it's me supposed to be teaching,
right?
But he will always implement the important part. So he co-taught, which really taught both of us.
Exactly.
And so if he had some critiquing that he had to do with me, it would not be in front of my child.
Right.
It would be
offline
with him and I. And so through that process, if my son was on the podcast right now, he can tell you how much money he needs to make a day.
Right.
How much money he needs a week. How much he needs a month. How much he needs for the year. So he knows what his bills are. And he knows in his budget, if he dates a girl, how much money is his girl's date budget that he chooses for a month, and don't go over that budget.
Exactly.
And so by knowing his numbers, he Ubers sometimes. Right. So if he's saying that, just say he needs $600, right? then he knows that I got to go out here because I need $600. I'm not out here just figuring out a number. I know I got to pay my lights, my gas. I don't know what the total is, but I know they got to be 2. So he breaks it down by the day. That means that every day that I get out here in Uber for 4 days, for example, I got to make $150. Or if he Uber for 3 days, I got to get out. I cannot come home unless I made $200 to pay a day. Plus, you got to cut the cost of gas, you know, that you're paying. So that means that every day he Ubers, he got to make $250 for 3 days in order to make $600 because he had to take away the gas. But that is a sign of financial literacy for him.
Exactly. and it's, I mean, that's that simple. It's not, see, part of what we got to do, in particular in the Black community, demystify this. I don't understand. It's not. The tough piece of this is dealing with your mental and emotional stuff around money. Because a lot of times we've heard things maybe in church, God, money's the root of all evil, or people say, watch out for that money, girl, it's gonna change you. And so a lot of times we have this schizophrenic, bipolar relationship with money. And I'm just like, no, it's nothing wrong with it. You've got to, first of all, develop a good, healthy relationship with finances. It's okay for you to have, it's okay for you to desire more. It's okay for you to want to have a nice car and a nice house, because a lot of times people think this, Erica, if I'm doing well, that means someone else can. And that's not the case. God put enough down here for everybody to be able to have more than enough and for all of us to live a good life. Got it? And so once you get past a lot of that head garbage, then you can get to some things you and your son were learning. What's going in, what's going out, how much do I need to make per day? How much do I need to save? That's easy. That's just numbers. But it's the other stuff that I find a lot of people deal with, you know?
Right. One of the things that we discovered was that how much money he actually spent on vending machines and fast food. And the third thing that we discovered was that he was paying a monthly fee to his bank account that we didn't even know.
Had no clue about.
We had no clue about it.
Right.
And so so every week he had to write everything out, and we did it repetitively, and he would be so irritated. This is so boring. This is so boring. But then when we would talk about it, I was like, oh my God, you're giving them $13 a month for your money, for them to hold your money. You can get a free bank account. He was like, oh my God. So he ended up closing that account and getting another account. So that was cool. And then when we tracked his spending habits for the vending machine, the soda pop machine, and fast food, there go all your money right there. So
there's this verse in the Bible that I think it's in Ecclesiastes. It talks about the small foxes that spoil the vine. And people like, Dexter, what does that mean? Well, it means that, you know, if you owned a vineyard, and so you would be making your money would be off you grapes and all that, but you got the little animals eating your profit away. Well, all of us, if we're not careful, we got these little foxes or these little things that, well, I'm eating out over here. I'm too lazy to cook, so I'll go eat over here at McDonald's or Burger King, or I don't want to do X, Y, Z, so Uber Eats and all, so all the stuff that we spend money on, that you like, hey, look, man, I've got to, back to one of my root statements, I've got to direct my money and tell it what to do. I've got to give myself some goals. Say, okay, I want to buy a house in 2 years. Okay, well, every decision I make has to line up with that decision. So that means,
listen, I got to interrupt you on that, because I was one of them, but I know so many people that go to buy a house, and this is the first time that they find out that you have to have been preparing for this house up to 2 years prior. Exactly, they just think that they can go and say, oh, I want to buy a house, and like, okay, well, we go start looking for a house, and then you find out they're telling you got to straighten out your credit, that you got to do this, you got to do that. Right. So my question that was going to be to you is, what is one of the signs that a person has bad credit?
Most of the time, a person has bad credit because they have late payments. When a person late payments, and I'm talking about most of the time it's credit cards or student loans or car loans, whatever it may be, but it's also things that utility bills. See, everything nowadays is tied into debt and credit. And so even if you're going to look for an apartment or go for a job, they pull your credit a lot of time. And they tell you, hey, we're going to pull your credit, because credit is about your character. It's saying, hey, based off of I made an arrangement, I'm going to pay y'all $300 a month for a car note or $1,000 a month for a house, and then you don't pay that. They say, well, you have a lack of character. And so, credit, I mean, we could do a whole class just on credit alone, because and the importance of you, not only from a perspective of doing the right thing and positioning yourself to buy bigger things, but then also from a character perspective. If you want to be a person who does what they say they're going to do. Got it? And so when you don't pay your bills on time, boom, bad credit. Now people look at you and say, hey, look, I know Erica Lynn looked fine and all that. She's well-dressed. She's coming to the interview, but I look at her credit report, it's saying something else. So
yes,
that's a problem.
Yeah. They like, what are you spending your money on? Hair weave and eyelashes and shoes?
Yeah. Girl, you look fly, but you ain't got no money, or your credit is bad, And so, but it goes back to what we've been talking about, these priorities that we have to set. I have to set a priority of me wanting to buy a house, because that's a potential wealth building too. I want to set a goal of being able to invest money, maybe in the stock market or crypto, whatever you decide to invest in. Well, I've got to become, to your point, what you and your son were doing, and other people that you may have shown this stuff to, is you got to teach them how to control your money.
Yeah.
And that's what financial literacy allows you to do. It allows you to control your money, and you tell it what to do, because there's only two forms of work now.
Okay.
Y'all write this down if y'all watching this.
Okay.
There's this. Your money working for you and you working for your money. That's it. And so what we've been trained to do is to go to work for money, but then what we have not been trained to do is how to become financially literate so I can put my money to work for me. So eventually, you mentioned Cat Williams. Well, I don't know the brother, and he's somewhat controversial, somewhat whatever, but he's learning how to put his money to work so he doesn't have to go to work. And so that's what we've been talking. That's when you won the financial money game. Like I said, I've been preaching at my church for the last 10 weeks. He's like, listen, I don't care how big the house is. I'm not interested in the bling. I'm not interested in your drip. None of that. What I'm interested in is this. I'm interested in how much money do you have working for you, so one day you don't have to work until you die.
Yes. Now, look, I got to touch a subject so that some women can relate to this, okay? There's so many women out here getting BBLs, tummy tucks, breastless augmentations, all of that, right? Yeah. And social media paints the picture that some man is paying for this, for some women, like some rich dude. In some cases, they are.
It might be happening, yeah. It might be.
But in a lot of cases, these women are going to the plastic surgeon, and they are able to pull a line of credit.
Help us.
And pay for their BBL, their tummy tuck on the credit. But if you don't have good credit, how you going to get a tummy tuck? How you going to get a BBL? So I just wanted to give a really realistic example, because there are a lot of women that is doing this. But would you like to dive deeper into that a little bit?
Well, think about this. Think about what I said earlier. I said, you have to deal with the mental and emotional and spiritual components of money. Meaning this: if you believe God has already made you fearfully and wonderfully made, why do I have to go spend a whole bunch of money on tummy tucks, lifts, and all that type of stuff? Well, what you're trying to do is you're trying to use those things to fill a mental and emotional need. And it costs money to do that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And so what they're playing on is they plan on you having low self-esteem. They plan on you being insecure and all of that. And that's what this whole society tries to do. They come in, well, you don't have the nicest car. You don't have the nicest this, or you don't have the biggest house, or you don't have the biggest drip or the biggest, you ain't got all that. And it's like, listen, all that is superficial stuff. Believe me, I just turned 54 this year. And I thought I was going to be young and handsome forever. I'm still handsome, but I thought I was going to be younger and handsome forever, Erica. And so at some point, my message to y'all is this: you've got to get comfortable in your own skin.
Yes. Yes.
And then you can decide what's important for you to do with your money.
Yes. And to add on that, if you choose to have those surgeries, for example,
Right.
you need to know how much money the surgery is, how much your monthly payment is going to cost. That needs to be factored into your finances because it now becomes a bill until it's paid
Of
off.
course it
So
is.
just like you pay your light, your gas bill, that is now a bill. So you're paying a bill for your beauty. But if that's what you choose to do, that's what you choose
Right.
to do. But make sure that you do it knowing what you can afford and not afford, cannot afford. So you may have good credit, for example, and you go and they run your credit and they say, okay, you can have the surgery. But if your finances don't back up you being able to make these monthly payments, then
Right.
you're still caught in the rat race. So again, that goes back to the point that we said in the beginning. You need to know your expenses. You need to know how
Right.
much money you have coming
Yep.
in so that you can even know how much you can actually put out.
Exactly.
Because I'm sure I'm not the only person alone that used to do this. I didn't know. I knew that I got a paycheck. I knew that I had to pay the bills. So when I got the paycheck, I
Right.
paid the bills, right? Because that's what you're supposed to do. But I
Right.
never knew what the total amount of my bills were. I just knew that, well, okay, I'm paying the bills. And as I'm paying the bills, it looks like it's taking all my check. Well, let me put a little $25 less on this bill so I can at least have $25 to
Got it.
eat. But if I had this knowledge from the beginning,
Right.
then I would have known how much my bills were, how much money that I have coming
Right.
in, and I would have known that no, I can't afford to get that new car or I can't afford to do that. I would have to cut my expenses because
Right.
so many people live above their means
Correct.
because they don't know what's coming in and going, don't take the time to sit down every Sunday and do their financial budget.
Well, it goes back to what your son was saying. It's boring. Well, and I'm not saying some of these some aspects of it, but we're adults here.
Mm-hmm.
Kids always say, what my kids, my kids are 35, 23, and 21. But when they were small, Dad, everything was boring to them, and I'm like, okay, well now we're in our adulthood now. Sometimes you have to just do things because it's the right thing to do, and it's not always exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you begin to look at sitting down and getting a sense of where your money is going, it's not overly exciting. But let me tell you what's going to be exciting. One day when you're able to do anything you want to do, when you want to do it, that's going to be exciting. Well, that doesn't happen if you don't monitor and see what's coming into your house and then look at, because we're talking about you working within a budget and spending plan. But I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Listen, this is what I want you guys to not only focus on what we're talking about the spending plan and seeing what's coming in and going out, but then also begin to look for opportunities around you to make more money. Most people they miss opportunities coming by them all the time. And when it comes by them, a lot of times they are afraid to take advantage of them because it looks different than something they may have done in the past.
Yeah.
And so that's something that you also want to focus on. So decrease your expenses, but increase your income. So always be looking for that. I'm looking for opportunities for me to make more.
Yes. So now we talking about, now let's just switch over a little bit to people who have their own business.
Right.
And they say that it takes 5 years to build your business or to see a profit into your business. And so as a conversation you and I were having backstage, where it seems like you're putting out more than you're bringing in. But at what point do you keep going? Like, at what point do you say, I'm putting out too much, then I need to stop this business?
Right.
At what point? Like,
we'll go back to what we talked about personal finance. It's a personal decision. I think I found that in the beginning of anything, and we talked about this off stage, so we're letting y'all in our backstage conversation, y'all. That in the beginning, you're putting out a lot of energy, a lot of money, a lot of time, and you may or may not be getting the return that you want to. But I think what I found is that, and because I've started a church, we started 2 businesses. And so guess what? A lot of money went out in the beginning, a lot of energy went out in the beginning. And there were times you feel like, man, I later for all this? Why am I doing all this? I'm bump this. I quit, But then the thing that we've continued to do, I felt God was calling us to do. So I think when you're starting your business, you've got to tap into, are you doing this for the right reason?
Okay.
Is this a calling for you? Because business, just like anything else, is a calling. Last time we think of calling just for pastors and all that. No, to every business owner is called, should be called to. I'm not doing it just to make money. I'm doing it because I feel there's a calling. But then also, obviously, there got to be some money to it. That's number one. So I got to make sure I got my calling. But then also, before people even start, I begin to ask questions of, have you put away the reserves that you needed and all those things? And do you have a good sense of where your personal finances are? Is there a spouse there who can help you out to get you through these tough times? And so all of those are factors that you have to factor in before you say, okay, whether this is working or whether this is not working. And then in some cases, you'll find, Erica, that you'll find out that this isn't working. Mm-hmm. And if it isn't working, you have to have the courage to be able to shut it down as well, because I find sometimes we keep going at things too. I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna make it work. Well, you ain't called to do that. That's why it's not working. And so you got to know both sides. Then the last thing I'll say with this: sometimes you may have to go invest in someone who knows more in this area than you do.
Say it.
Because sometimes it's not that you are not on the right track. It's not that you're not doing the right thing. You just don't know enough.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you may have to go invest in some sort of coaching, so whether it's an informal coaching or formal coaching. And sometimes I found the coaches that I've hired, Erica, they ain't cheap.
Mm-hmm. Man, whoo, you telling me?
They ain't been cheap, But what I found is that if I did the work, it was worth it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. And I gained so much more knowledge from the coaches that I hired.
Right.
I was like, wow, even with because we have the same publicist, so even with hiring Pam, she don't just be your publicist, she actually teach you.
Exactly.
So after your personal time is up with her, you're part of her community, for one. Right. And then for two, she teach you information so that you can always continue to market and advertise your business. So that was a really great investment. That's an investment that just keeps on giving.
Exactly. And that's what you have to see it as. People always ask me, what's the best investment? I'll say it's not a stock, it's not a bond, it's not a house, it's you. Mm-hmm. And anybody listen to me, if you're looking to where to begin to invest money at first, invest it in yourself.
All right now.
And it doesn't have to be big. Dude, go buy a book. You could go to Amazon for $15 or go to the library, So I'm not talking you spending, because you and I have spent, I can speak for you. I know for me, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaching, whether it's been real estate or whether it's been as a pastor or whether it's been, like you said, our publicists. I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Coaching. Now, you may not be ready for that, but you sure can go spend probably $10 on Amazon and find a book to help you in the area that you're trying to be helping. And so it doesn't take, or you can go to YouTube and you can look and see what's on there, or you can Google some things. And so I think people don't spend enough time, because listen, entrepreneurship, I don't know if you want to go to this area, but entrepreneurship is the finances is the back end of it. Mm-hmm. Meaning this, I've got to develop myself first to be ready and worthy of the money. So a lot of people, I'm going to start a business. Well, okay, you better be ready to go to work on yourself in your business and on your business so that money can come your way. But a lot of times people just think, I'm going to start a business. Well, that don't mean because you start the business that money going to come right away.
Yes.
There's a development process. Yeah. Everybody who you see at the top, whether it's Jeff Bezos, Oprah Winfrey, whoever your favorite business person is, they didn't start out like that.
Yeah,
they started out in the back of they started out in the back of their mama's house in the basement, eating ramen noodles, driving Uber on the weekends, all that stuff. And now you see them rolling. You're like, wow, I want to be like that. Well, no, you got to follow their development.
Yeah.
Because now a lot of times, see, a lot of this stuff happens. I feel like I'm preaching to y'all. A lot of things happen, Erica, behind the scenes when nobody's watching.
Yeah. Yeah. You are so right. You are so right.
Nobody sees the scripts that you write. No one sees the emails. Nobody sees that type of stuff. They just see you at the other end. And so you got to recognize when I'm starting anything, whether it's a church, whether it's a business, I'm starting a family, there'll be a lot of times when nobody is recognizing and clapping for you.
Yeah.
You got to be able to I call those the dog days of business or the dog
Yeah.
days of parenting, when appreciation is low,
Mhm.
responsibilities are high.
Right, because even with the weight loss that I'm going through, nobody sees the pain I'm in. Nobody sees, like, sometimes I pull up to the gym and don't want to go in,
Exactly.
like all of the struggles, the money that I spend, because an average person, they pay for their monthly membership and that's
Okay.
it.
Right.
I'm paying the monthly membership, my personal training
Personal
fees,
trainer.
for
Yeah.
my supplements,
Yeah, exactly.
my meal plan, my right diet, because the foods that I'm eating, they're not cheap, you know
Right.
what I mean? So it costs a lot and nobody sees all that you put in. They get to see the result. And I'm
Right.
happy that everybody is happy for me, but you got to put the work
You
in.
got to put the work in.
Yeah.
And Erica, that's what you'll find. Most people are not willing to put the work in.
Work in.
You
Yeah.
know, and so that's what separates champions from those who are in second place, third place, fourth place. But I'm not saying this is a competition, but
Yes.
the people who succeed are people who are willing to put the work in and
Yeah.
really when, to your point of when I don't feel like doing this, when this is boring, or when I have to get on another podcast, or I got to go do that. It's 7:00 at night. There's other things that we could be doing.
Right. Because as soon as the podcast's over, I got to go to the birthday party.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
know,
Just call it like it is. We doing this for y'all.
Right.
It's 7:00 at night on the and COVID is over and it's nice outside. I could be outside taking a walk with my wife.
Absolutely.
But the thing is this: you do things like this because we desire to be champions,
Yes.
and we desire to help the Erica Lynn family become champions. And so we're investing our time in them.
Yes.
So that some of the principles that we're talking about tonight, as they begin to implement them, it will help them in their finances.
Absolutely. So let's talk about your ship method. Like, let's give them, let's tell the audience a little bit about what is the ship method.
Yeah. Well, the SHIP method it stands. My wife always says, make sure you spell it out. SHIP. Because if I say it too fast, it sounds like something else. But it's SHIP, and it stands for stewardship,
Okay.
ownership, and entrepreneurship. Now, we've been talking about it the whole time, and so it's through I call it the SHIP method, and it's what I teach my financial literacy programs through. And so to break it down, what I found is that over 30 years of studying people who handle money, they do They do those three things well. They steward their money well, which we've been talking about all night. You having a sense of what's going in and what's going out. You giving your money a mission, you telling them what to do. So that's stewardship. Number two is ownership. Well, what's ownership all about? Ownership is about owning things that have value as opposed to things that don't have value. So we talked about, tummy tucks, cuts, purses, shoes, video games, all those things that we can own. They don't have value most of the time, but when you own property or you own stock or you own certain things, it's about owning the right things. So I talked to people about that. And the last one we talked about already. We talked about entrepreneurship. For those of you who are called to start a business. Now, I don't believe everybody's called to be an entrepreneur because, there's some people who God's called to be a teacher. We need good teachers, and we need good policemen, and we need good firemen. But then we all should do the first two. We should steward our money correctly, and we should all own things that eventually one day they'll be able to work so we don't have to. And so what I did, Erica, is your people, if they go over to my website, dexterbjenkins.com, that book, I wrote an ebook on that. So they can download, they can download that book at dexterbjenkins.com. You go to the header, you go to the footer, hit a green button, put your information in there, and I'll send them that book just for checking out my website. But the SHIP method is just a very simple way for you to begin to become financially literate, because that's my desire. As I said, that's your desire as well, is to see people win financially, and the SHIP method is a way to help them to do that.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. And so one of the key words that you're saying in there that people are missing is method. Method is your strategy.
Exactly.
Because that's what we're talking about here. Re-strategize and leaving the second quarter, going into the third quarter. And so if your money is not where you want it to be, if your mind your thought process about money is not where it should be, if your credit is not right, then it is time to re-strategize so that going into the third quarter, now you have a strategy. What's the plan? What do I need to do? Because you pulled your credit report, you spoke to a professional such as Dexter, and he told you, okay, this is the steps for you, because each strategy is individualized per person.
Exactly.
So what works for me does not work for you. And
Correct.
what works for Dexter does not work for you.
Exactly.
The blueprint is the same, but it's how you apply the blueprint is different for each individual.
Exactly. And I think that's what people have to realize. This is not a competition.
Yeah.
This is not a race. The race is between you and you. It's not between Erica and Dexter, David, whoever else is on this thing. I've seen a couple people, Deja, whoever else. No, it's between you and you. I'm designed to be the best version of Dexter Bernard Jenkins I could be. And so I'm strategizing. I'm getting my stuff together. So it's in my finances and it's in my, and I also think that, mentally and emotionally, we've gone through a rough 2 years.
Yes.
We've gone through a lot of stuff. I mean, as a country, and then, now we got this war, and then, it's just a lot going on. And so you've got to say, okay, have I allowed my thinking to get all crazy and tied up into a lot of things around me? Let me come back and strategize in this third quarter, because I want to have a good third quarter and a fourth quarter in order to take me into the first quarter of 2023, because that's what we're talking about. Because you blink and it's going to be watch Thanksgiving, Christmas, and then we're going into January 2023. And so that's why these shows that you're doing now are so critical to get people, hey, what you're trying to do is get people to tell you, hey, y'all, time to refocus. It's time to refocus.
That's right.
That's what you're trying to do, is trying to get people to refocus. Say, hey, look, if the first 6 months of the year did not go the way you want to go, hey, it ain't too late. Yeah. Let's just re-strategize. Or if it did go the way you want to go, we need to look at what's working and continue to do more of that. And so it's not always on the negative side. Sometimes it's on a positive side. And what you want to do is you want to look at and say, okay, this is working. Let me do more of that so that I can continue to go in the third and the fourth quarter very strong.
Yeah. And just something as simple as, we all know Christmas is coming up. And there's a lot of people, because I was one of them, have small children, and you don't have money for Christmas gifts. Right. You don't know what you're going to do. But if you start the strategy now, like he said, $5 a paycheck or $10 a paycheck, that will put you in a position to be able to buy something for your kids by Christmas time. Right. But if you wait till November and December, like most people do,
right,
let me go shopping and find you something where things are overpriced or whatever, and then you're sad and you're crying because you're unable to make Christmas happen. Right. So what I'm trying to get you to do is change your thinking.
Right.
Begin to think about things way far in advance before they happen, so that you can strategize for them or prepare for them ahead of time. And then this way, come Christmas time, when it's cold and you can't afford things, you've prepared ahead of time. That's what farmers do.
Exactly.
Farmers do it. And the guys who cut the grass, the landscapers, they make a lot of money in the summertime with those landscaping businesses. But they prepare, they don't just go and blow all that money that they make in the summertime. Not. They understand that they have to put that money up, some of that money up, so that they can make it through the winter, right?
Exactly. And my wife and I have, you're taking my message I've been talking about the last couple of weeks. I've said, we've had a vacation club for years, so we put every because I'm a big proponent of people taking vacation, because you need to breathe different air a couple of times a year. You need to go to a place they call you ma'am and sir, and where you ain't going to your cousin's house and sleeping on their couch, call that vacation. That ain't vacation. That's just visiting somebody. So vacations and Christmas gifts and all those things. And when I'm a big proponent of saying, hey, look, we ain't doing a whole bunch of gifts and stuff this year. We're just going to love up on one another on Christmas. We're going to get together, have a good meal, and have a good time. Now, obviously, when your kids are small, sometimes you got to break them off a little something. But even begin to share with them, hey, we're not getting to this materialistic thing that we see that, if I don't get a gift, it wasn't a good Christmas. Listen, the fact that you and I are alive is a blessing. Let's celebrate that.
Now, and I'm going to say this point, and then I'm going to have you give the audience a takeaway. But this one point that I can say, I've had the pleasure of meeting quite a few men in my lifetime that was going through what I call their grinding phase, right? Where they cut all the expenses that they can cut. I mean, lived off the bare minimum,
Right.
wore the same clothes every day, barely went and got a haircut, all of that for 3-5 years, whatever. And you like, dang, you look like a bum. But then when they resurfaced 5 years later or 3 years later, they got millions of dollars in their bank account. Their relationship with money is totally different. Like they're just totally on another level. Now, as a woman, I wish I could do that. But I have a like what like I really wish I could wear the same thing every day, not go get my nails done, not get my hair done, like just wear a ponytail for like 3 to 5 years. So how could I do that as a woman?
Right. Well, I think it's very much a double standard with how we judge men versus women, because we have socialized women to be pretty and gorgeous, and that's upkeep in order to do that. You know what I mean? And so I do think it is a double standard, because I keep my hair low, and brothers don't need a lot. As long as you clean and someone else, you good to go. But what I will say is, even for a woman, pick the things that are important. And so I need to say, hey, look, so is it me? Do I begin to do my own nails, or do I begin to do certain things? I'm not a woman, so I can't speak to that. But there's some things that you should just begin to look at and say, hey, look, do I really want to do this because I'm trying to buy my house, or I'm trying to position myself to be a business owner, and I need this money to make payroll or whatever else? And so, and then God will begin to show you those things. And then, like I keep saying, it's not always going backwards. Ask God to show you how I can make more. That's my big message to y'all tonight. Ask him how you can make more. I've been talking to my church about this. Write this down, y'all. Dramatically increasing your income. I'm not talking about $2.50 an hour and all. I'm talking about, what can he show you that you can dramatically increase your income with? And then if you're open to it, he will begin to open your eyes to it. But I think a lot of times we're not thinking like that. Whoever put whoever put that up there.
Oh, look, I can't spell.
just add the N in there. You good. I N. But it's like, listen, I got to be thinking like that, because see, most of the time we've been taught, Erica, decrease thinking. And we've got to get out of that. I got to get you thinking increased thinking. Okay. And so obviously, cutting back and all of that's good, but I got to get you thinking more. People who are financially successful, they're thinking about, how can I make more? Because if you dramatically make more, you can pay off everything that you owe and keep going. Yeah. And so that's what, and some of you who read the Bible, that's the story of 2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1-7.
Okay.
You'll find that story there, because what the prophet did, he showed her how to make more money. And as she made more money, she paid off her debt and she was able to live off the rest. And so now, not only am I looking to be a better steward of my money and making sure I'm not wasting it, but I want him to show me how to make more money, dramatically increase my income, so that I don't have to bust my behind so much, and I'm able to do stuff for my other generation and things of that nature.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you said 2 Kings chapter 4. What verse?
2 Kings chapter 4, verses 1-7. Put that in your notes. 2 Kings chapter 4. Verse 1-7. Read that story. And then some of you who are Bible readers know about the story of Jabez. Jabez talking about, enlarge my territory. And so God is a God of enlarging our territories.
Yeah.
And so don't, even though we're budgeting and all that, don't forget to think about, hey, how can I expand? How can I get bigger? Because you should always be thinking about getting bigger and thinking up on a higher plane. Because I think as you begin to do that, God will begin to show you how to pay off everything that you owe and then keep moving.
Well, that's fantastic. So before we get out of here now, audience, I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to get questions in, but hopefully Dexter will come back on.
All you got to do is call your boy. I'll be right there.
Because I think I would like for you to come on, and I like to do a credit session.
do
If
that.
that's all
Yeah.
right with you. We could do a
We can do-
credit and kind of get down into some principles, because a lot of people have myths about credit or misconceptions or not lack of understanding, and we want to give them some understanding. But before I let you go, I would like for you to give the audience a takeaway, something that they can walk away from this podcast saying that you given them. In addition to that, reiterate how they can get into contact with you.
Well, let's start with how they can get in contact with you. They can go to my website, dexterbjenkins.com, start there. And like I said, go make sure you download that ebook. It's a great book, The 3 Ships of Wealth Building, that begins to get you on the road to financial literacy. So do that. But then also they can follow me. I'm Dexter B. Jenkins across everything. So Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Actually, I have a great YouTube channel where I do a lot of videos and things. So check that out as well. But Dexter B. Jenkins across the board, and you'll be able to stay in contact with me there. So I would love to be able to do that. But then I think my biggest takeaway that I want you people to think about is this. Even though we've talked about everything else, I want them to think about dramatically increasing your income. That's your takeaway I want. So as we're strategizing, going into quarter number 3, I'm asking, because listen, the Bible says, ask and you shall receive, right? Seek and ye shall find, knock and the door shall be open. So as I set my attention on that's what I want to do, opportunities will begin to open up for you. And then now what you got to do, Erica, is this, not end on this. You have got to have the courage to step through the door. Because sometimes opportunities come our way and they look too big for us, and we're not courageous enough to step through it. And what you got to do is you got to recognize, listen, everything that you want for your future is on the other side of that decision, and it's going to take courage to do it.
Yes, it is, because it's not easy. It's really scary. It's really scary.
And that's one of the ways you know that you're on the right track, is because fear and doubt is attacking you.
Yeah.
Because you're think like this. Anything that we've ever done that we've never done is new. It was new, and there was some doubt and there was some trepidation and whatever else. But then after you did it long enough, I got this. Well, it's the same thing in anything that you're doing. So whether you're doing what you're doing, what I do, when I started a church, when we started real estate, all stuff that, in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, can I do this? And it was like, yeah, but I just kept going, and eventually it became comfortable for me. And so I'm encouraging your people, dramatically increase your income. When opportunities come your way, stop saying no. Step through the door.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dexter. I can't wait to have you back for the credit class. I'm gonna have Sonia send you an email, because we're gonna set the date and we're gonna get it scheduled, because really people really need addition to financial literacy. They really need a better understanding of credit and how it works, and how you can make it work for you, how you can spend somebody else's money and not just spend your money, all that good stuff. And so we're gonna touch on that. So I really, really appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I know I have to go after the podcast is over, but I'll be in contact with you, because we got some talking. We got some
more talking to do. Well, enjoy your party with your girlfriend. Oh, that's your girlfriend.
With my daughter.
Girl. Yeah, it's your baby girl. Y'all have a good time.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Well, you guys, I hope that you all really, really got what you needed from today's podcast. Understanding of financial literacy. We talked about re-strategizing so that you can go into the third quarter. If things are not going the way you want them to go, you don't want that same thing to repeat going into the third quarter. Let's re-strategize it so that we can go in better. If things are going good for you, you still might need to tweak your strategy so that it can go even better, or at least stay on the same path. You don't want to be doing good in second quarter and things go down for you in third quarter. So you need to, if you're doing something right, let's figure out what it is that you're doing right so that you can even get better at it and increase your income. Like Dexter said, dramatically increase your income. So not only was that a word for me, I hope that was a word for many of you, for everyone that's listening, because what you guys didn't know was behind the scenes, I was telling him, I think I need to start cutting something. So that's why that word was so powerful to me, is because I need to dramatically increase my income. And he spoke it I'm speaking it into existence. And the next time he and I talk about it, you guys are going to be able to hear my success story. And I want to hear all of you all's success story too. So make sure that you dramatically increase your income, re-strategize walking into the third quarter. Now, if you didn't share this podcast, you still can share this podcast. Somebody that needs to know something about financial literacy and re-strategizing, make sure that you put hashtag Erica Lynn fam so that we know you did it and they know that you are part of this family. Okay. We are finished with the podcast for the month of June. We are going into third quarter. At the beginning of third quarter, what did I need to do to re-strategize? I said I needed to take a little break so that I can spend time developing those things that is going to dramatically increase my income. So for the first 2 podcasts in the month of July, they're going to be repeat episodes from previous podcasts or podcasts that was recorded and never aired because I didn't have a team, but I had to re-strategize and we got it together. But the third podcast is going to have BAM on here by any means necessary. It's a group, a music group, which is my son and his friends. They have a group and we're going to talk about what you can do by any means necessary. How is their group, BAM, going to the next level? So shout out to BAM and we'll see you guys the third week live on this podcast. My team is still going to make sure you guys get the emails and the updates. I'm not going anywhere. I'll still be visible on the podcast, but I needed to take these 2 weeks so that I can redevelop the programs and make sure that we're getting ready to do our launch because I do have to dramatically increase my income. And the only way that I can do that is take a little time off so that I can focus and develop and get better at the things that I'm working on. So it's your girl, Erica Lynn. Still tune in next week at 7 p.m. every Wednesday. I'm here. We're here. We love you. And when Dexter come back, make sure y'all tune in for that credit class, but we'll make sure that you get the information for the credit class. That's my time. I got to go to Deja's birthday party. Happy birthday, Deja. I'm on my way. I love you guys. And you'll see the podcast next week, but you'll see me on social media. Anyway, that's my time. And I gotta go because she waiting on me. I love you all. Always remember to take one step beyond you. God bless you. I will see you guys soon. This podcast was brought to you by EricaLynnSpeaks.com. Sign up for your free consultation today at EricaLynnSpeaks.com/work with me. And just remember, it only takes just one step beyond you.
Beyond you. I say Erica Lynn speaks.